Motivation House, yes, that is my channel. Thank you for watching it. You are the one I have been waiting for, and you are right to be on my channel. Look, listen, don't judge from my video, but listen to the motivation that I give to you. Are you confused? Let's just start right now. Prepare your focus, prepare your coffee, and prepare everything that you think is important.
What if today was the day you made everything change? You've felt it before. That small but courageous voice inside you telling you that you're meant for more. Saying that the hesitation, the doubt, the second guessing that's held you back isn't really you. What if that voice is right? Today you can stop imagining and start becoming. In this video, we'll teach you how with a method we call the Fearless Method. It's a system developed from studying those who win consistently. We'll go over a 7-step plan to move you beyond your fears, so that by the end, you'll have a blueprint for success and for control. Because if fear is holding you back, you can change yourself to fix that. You can do the inner work to stop fear from being a problem. And we're going to tell you how. Consider this. Fear has been your companion for too long. It whispers when you're about to take a risk. It tightens your chest when opportunity knocks. It convinces you that playing small is playing safe. But fear is just a habit. It's only a pattern you've practiced. And if it's a pattern you've practiced, it's also a pattern you can break. The first pillar of the Fearless Method challenges the fundamental way you've been taught to view fear. The principle is, turn your fear into an ally. Most people see fear as an enemy to be overcome or avoided. We urge you to recognize it as a valuable ally. Fear isn't dumb like a stone, it's a compass. When understood correctly, it points directly to your next opportunity for growth. The Stoics knew this. That's why they didn't eliminate fear, but reframed it as information rather than destiny. Your fear response stems from two places: biological triggers that protected your ancestors from physical threats, and psychological habits you've practiced throughout your life. With the right kind of awareness, you can distinguish between these two, recognizing when your body is responding to genuine danger versus when your mind is replaying outdated patterns. Start with a practice we call the 60-second Fearless Technique to give yourself immediate control. When fear strikes, pause for 20 seconds to name and locate the sensation in your body. Spend the next 20 seconds asking, what is this fear trying to protect me from? Then use the final 20 seconds to consciously decide, will I allow this fear to guide me or govern me? With this practice, you can transform fear from your master into your messenger, just what the Stoics prescribed. The second step of the Fearless Method transforms intention into action through what we call the Fearless Commitment. This is more than a promise to yourself. It's a structured declaration you can use to rewrite your relationship with fear. You begin by documenting the specific fears that hold you back. Then, beside each fear, you'll write the exact opposite action you commit to taking. This creates a roadmap you can follow to get better. The ancient Stoics did the same. They didn't just contemplate virtue, they committed to specific actions to embody it. At the end of the day, write an identity statement to affirm your core commitment. Rather than focusing on what you want to achieve, you'll define who you're becoming. This simple shift, I am someone who, rather than I want to, aligns your identity with action. Doing this daily will anchor your commitment in reality. Each morning, select one specific fear-based pattern to interrupt using this framework. Each evening, document your victory, however small. This consistent practice gradually reprograms your default response from hesitation to action, building what the Stoics called the habit of courage. The third pillar of the Fearless Method addresses a crucial truth. Your mental state determines your actions. The trigger system we describe next will help you control your mental and physical response in fear-inducing situations. What you want to focus on is creating deliberate shifts. First, adopt the posture of courage. Shoulders back, chin up, deep breath. Second, redirect your attention with the question, what opportunity exists here? Finally, use decisive language. Replace "I'll try" with "I will." This sequence, practiced consistently, bypasses your brain's fear response. By anchoring fearlessness in everyday decision points, you build automatic courage. Begin by identifying the specific moments when fear typically arises. Then, pre-decide your fearless response to these triggers, eliminating the gap between opportunity and action where fear thrives. Progressive training exercises strengthen your fearless response like a muscle. Begin with small, low-stakes situations and gradually increase the challenge. The Stoics called this voluntary discomfort, deliberately facing difficulty to build resilience. Through consistent practice, what once triggered fear becomes an automatic opportunity for your next confident action. The fourth component of the fearless method confronts what people fear even more than physical pain: rejection. Research with top performers reveals something surprising. They don't just tolerate rejection, they actively pursue it as a pathway to growth. Our rejection conversion formula transforms setbacks into stepping stones. First, practice stoic detachment by separating rejection from your identity. It's feedback on your approach, not your worth. Second, extract the hidden opportunity. Every no contains valuable data. Third, take immediate counteraction, since the ancient Stoics taught that action dissolves anxiety. For an example of this in action, look at how famous people have converted devastating rejections into life-changing breakthroughs. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers before success. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple before returning to revolutionize the company. Rejection forced the refinement that led to their ultimate achievement. Building your fearless rejection muscle requires intentional practice. Begin with rejection immersion. Deliberately put yourself in low-stakes situations where rejection is likely. Document each experience on a computer or on paper, tracking how your emotional recovery time decreases with practice. Soon, what most people fear will become your competitive advantage. You can learn to move forward in situations where others are paralyzed. Over the years, that will massively impact your success in life. The fifth element of the fearless method addresses the root of most fears: your self-concept. A lot of fears aren't about external threats, but about protecting an identity you've constructed. The fearless method doesn't just change your behaviors, it transforms who you believe you are. To do this, identify language patterns that restrict your potential. "I'm not good at," or "I could never." Then trace each belief to its origin. What you'll discover is that most were formed during moments of vulnerability or adopted from things you learned without question. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you examine your thoughts like this, you can spot the stains, and once you see them, you can remove them. Fearless communication patterns accelerate your transformation. Eliminate hedging language like "I'll try," or hopefully replacing them with declarations of certainty. When speaking of your future self, use present tense. "I am becoming," rather than "I will become." This linguistic shift helps your subconscious take on a less fearful identity. To push this to the next level, work on embodiment. Each morning, physically embody your fearless self for 5 minutes. Adopt the posture, facial expressions, and breathing patterns of someone already living without your current fears. The ancient Stoics practiced this through role rehearsal, physically acting out virtuous responses to challenging situations. It's work like this which bridges the gap between intellectual understanding and whole-body transformation. The sixth component of the Fearless Method transforms how you evaluate risk, the arena where fear frequently distorts good judgment. Most people make decisions based on emotional risk assessment. With the Fearless Method, you replace that with strategic clarity. Use a risk evaluation matrix to separate perceived risk from actual risk by using a simple 4-quadrant system. Plot potential decisions along 2 axes: impact, severity, and probability. When you do that, you see that most fears cluster in the low probability, low impact quadrant. The Stoics practiced a similar discernment, with Epictetus teaching us to distinguish between what merely appears frightening and what truly threatens our well-being. Applying this assessment system in real time means asking 3 questions when confronting decisions. What's the worst realistic outcome? What's the best possible outcome? And what's the cost of inaction? This third question, which most people never consider, shows that avoiding risk is often the riskiest choice of all. Lastly, balance your approach to risk/reward calculations by using a regret minimization framework. Rather than asking what you want now, project yourself to age 80 and ask which choice you'll regret not making. This time shift bypasses immediate fear and connects you with your deeper wisdom, creating decisions that line up with your true priorities. The seventh and final element of the Fearless Method addresses the greatest challenge in personal transformation: sustaining change. Motivation fluctuates, but systems endure. The Fearless Method doesn't rely on willpower. It creates an architecture of courage that does the job automatically. Our approach to sustained courage means replacing goals with processes. Rather than aiming to be more confident, establish a daily fearless practice that doesn't require decision. The ancient Stoics understood this principle well. Seneca wrote, "The sailor's courage grows not by talking of storms, but by commanding vessels." Your courage muscle strengthens through consistent, habitual action. Designing your fearless environment recognizes that willpower is finite. Restructure your physical and digital spaces to eliminate fear triggers and amplify courage cues. Remove the smartphone that tempts you into procrastination. Position your workout clothes where they're the first thing you see. Your environment should make courage the path of least resistance. When you do this, the compounding effect transforms seemingly minor actions into extraordinary results. Each small, courageous choice, speaking up in a meeting, initiating a difficult conversation, taking a calculated risk, creates a 1% shift. These micro-decisions compound like interest, eventually reaching a tipping point where fearlessness becomes your default state rather than your aspiration. And with that, you've fully learned the Fearless Method, a complete framework for transforming your relationship with fear. Now that you understand the basics, let's explore how these principles might work in your own life. Imagine you've spent years in the same position at work.